is Eric, and welcome to Ghana Bakweku YouTube channel, where we document the building process for our dream home in Ghana, West Africa. We hope that you find the content we share helpful, encouraging, and hopefully educating as well. Hello, YouTube. I know it's been a while. Sorry for the absence. I'm still working on some stuff. Got distracted by a few other things. Life happens. Um, so sorry for the absence. Welcome back again to the channel. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a bit. So I figured I'll dedicate some time while I wait for the solution for our door problem. If you haven't seen that decisions video for the doors, look up here. I'll link it up there for you to look at. Now, so as you already seen in the title, what would we have done different, right? If we could start over today, what would we do differently in the building process after everything that we've learned? Um, and one of the things that I've said to a few friends who are in the process of um, settling, they've acquired land and they're trying to build, is um, when you work on the design, sit on it, sit on it for a long while, right? Sit on the design for a while, and don't just get a design, even though it might be the best thing you saw in the moment. Don't get a design and rush into it. If you can, sit on the design, put it away, walk away from it. It's almost like I think a good analogy here will be a child on Christmas Day, right? You open a toy, you're so enamored by the toy that you might not see any blemishes, right? Or any defects that it might have. If you put that same toy away, walk away a couple of days later, come back and pick it up, you might have a better sense of appreciation for the toy. And then, in addition to that, if there are any blemishes, you might see it. Then, if we bring this back to the design, right? Your design, if you come back to it later, you can then tell yourself, you know what? I thought this would be good, but now that I'm seeing it, it doesn't look that great. Or maybe I've seen something new that I want to incorporate, right? Um, Sitting on the design gives you that time to be able to settle before you actually take a foundation, right? Because once the foundation is dug, your hands are kind of tied, right? Pillars go where they go. Of course, you can rejig pillars and columns and whatnot to reinforce the building, but we've seen videos where you can tell that a column was misplaced, right, or was an afterthought. So if you can prevent these things, do them. In our particular case, we could not do that, right? Because the original plan for us was to go into Ghana when we did, early 2020, to basically secure the boundaries of the land, right? Do some temporary security, like a boundary wall or whatever. I wasn't even thinking about concrete. I was thinking about pillars around it, and then maybe like a metal wedge. Sorry, a metal mesh, a mesh boundary with a sign. If you have anyone in military, this is a tip. If you have anyone with a superior ranking in the military, you can ask their permission, put up a sign with their name on it, with their rank on it, and a phone number. People might not call that phone number, but they'll see that sign and it will scare them away. The fact that it's a military person. Now back to our story. Because when we got there, because of the encroachment, it kind of messed us up, right? And then listening to my cousin, the lawyer, my architect at the time, the notion was this: if you don't do something on the land, the likelihood is they will let him steal the rest of the one plot that is already encroached into. The court will allow it. So basically, what we had to do was rethink our design as quickly as possible, right, within a matter of weeks, right, and then change it so that it sits on more of the land, basically, quote unquote, messing up the land, right, so that if it ended up in court, the court will say, they build on that side, so let them have it, and you can have whatever. So now it forces the court to let us have more boundary instead of just saying, oh, he stole one plot, so let's just let him have it, right? So that's the first one. The first one is, if you can sit on the design as long as you can, right? Sit on the design. And then the second one is if we could do it differently. And all of these things are, I preface them with our situation is different or was different in the moment because we're being rushed. But if we had not been rushed, right, to secure the land and build secure what was left of the land and build the footing as quickly as possible, what we would have done would have been to seek multiple quotes, right, from multiple builders, right, including maybe real estate companies, right. And the reason why I bring real estate companies in here is this: a lot of these real estate companies have credibility, right? So they have been doing business with people for so long that they might have a way of getting materials to you for cheaper than regular because they can buy in bulk, right? And then div some out to you. I'm not saying all of them are like that because we've seen on YouTube cases where real estate companies have ripped people off, right? But what I'm saying in this point is seek multiple quotes. If you seek multiple quotes and they come from, you know, you know, quote unquote trustworthy places, then you can compare it to what a real estate company, which is an established company, the good ones, right, are charging, and then you can balance them out, right? So that's one. And then the third one that I'll say, if we had the opportunity to do it a little different, I'll do this, would be to have been on the ground more during the major phases of the project, the onset, right? And that was the plan, really. Once we started doing the foundation work in January of 2020, the idea was I was going to go back in the middle of the year, or maybe towards the end of the year, to see that things were going properly. And then, of course, we know what happened. COVID happened, and COVID just messed everything up. I would say, though, our builder at the time and his crew, they were creative. Well, they wanted to eat. So they got creative and they figured out a way of getting to site. Sometimes having, people laying on the floor of a car, right? So that they could meet to the cop's eye the social distancing limitation that they had in Ghana for how many people can be in a car. Yeah, but if you can be on the ground more during any major phase of the project, do it, right? What that does for you is it gives you the opportunity to be part of every phase. That is huge. Um, I'm not saying that you cannot build without that. We did ours without me being on there. Um, after we started digging the trenches, I left, right? We had not even put in the mats and the pillars, the columns yet, right? Um, the what do you call it? The rebar, or big what do you call it? We call it rebar here. Iron rods, right? Sorry for that lapse. Iron rods in Ghana. They had started framing them before I left, right? So I wasn't there for the foundation. I was there for the digging. I wasn't there for the actual foundation work, the substructure work. I wasn't there for the decking and any of that stuff, right? The next time I went to Ghana, where we had already roofed, right? So if you can afford to do it, and I know plane tickets are expensive lately, so it's up to your pocket and what you can do. The good thing that we have lately is technology has made it easy for us to be able to build from afar. YouTube videos allow it, right? FaceTime allows it. So you can actually see every stage of your process. If you really want it to be anal, you'll see every stage of your process, right? But if you can be there in person, you know, chalk that milestone, take a picture for posterity, stuff like that. That would be something that I recommend. And if we could do it differently, I probably would have done that. The last one, and this is a big one. Men, if you're building, I'll say sometimes we need to listen to our spouses more. Um, Sometimes having another person to bounce off ideas is great. Sometimes it isn't. but it all depends on knowing that this is someone who's also going to inhabit that space. So it's always good to broach the topic of what should we do different, right? What should we do different? Um, there are some things that we do as men that is great, right? We are very practical when it comes to things, but when it comes to the flair side of things and the way things flow, we should leave that to the women. And I don't think it's enough to say we'll only leave the kitchen for the women because that's their space. More men lately spend time in the kitchen than men did in our father's era, right? So saying that the kitchen is the woman's office, that is dated. Um, I don't think that is the only space in the house that a woman should have a say. And I'll say, if you're a man and you're building, your practicality is great. Bring the practicality to the table, but listen to your wife. If you're married, if you're alone, you're building for yourself, right? You are a one man wrecker, so you can do whatever you want. But if you have a partner, involve them, right? Involve your partner in every decision. At the end of the day, you're not only building for you, you're building for them. Imagine a case where an idea that you could have brought up didn't get brought up until it was done, and your wife is upset about that idea every time they see it. There'll always be World War II in the house, or World War III, I should say, in the house, right? Because you never know when you're going to come home and she might have walked past that spot. That always gets her upset. You walk into the house thinking you're coming home to a hug, and you end up in World War III, right? So yeah, I don't want this video to be long, so I'll say, running it from the top, the first one will be sit on the design, right? Sit on the design. Don't rush through it, right? Let it sit. Let it gather dust and then go back to it, right? Second point is to seek multiple quotes and pick the best one for you. Be on the ground more if you can. That's number three. And then listen to your spouse or your partner in the building process, right? It's very important. You might know some things, but there are some things you don't know, right? We always have our blinders. And sometimes you might have an idea and you might get short term or, tunnel vision on the idea. And if you bounce off someone, it would have ended up being good, right? So I'll end this here. Like I said in the beginning of the video, the door situation is still ongoing. We're trying to figure it out. Once I have concrete information, I'll share it with you guys. All right. Thanks again for watching this video. I'll try and make another video in a quick session here. When I have more information. If you haven't done that already, please subscribe to the channel. Right. Click the notification bell. Toggle all notifications on, so that when I post a video next time, you'll be one of the first people to know. For all of us building, I know the times are tough. Don't give up. We'll get there. Right? We started, we'll finish. All right. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Baby, you give me ice and fire. You're giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my ass.